Hey Ian, it's Uncle Dave, and I just hiked up Big Mountain, which is something I do about 3 times a week for exercise, sometimes 1 to 2 to 3, but anyway, congratulations on graduating high school. You're 18 and you're, I guess, an adult now, and I really hope you enjoy the gift I got you. And I'm going to talk about the gift I got you a little bit after I decided that I would pass on some wisdom, because I have been climbing mountains my whole life, and I'm 46 now, and about 20 years of my climbing time I made all kinds of stupid mistakes that I'm not making anymore. And so what I did was I reached out to 3 other climbing partners of mine that I climb mountains with. And I've climbed, you can look these mountains up in Glacier Park, but like Mount St. Nicholas, Mount Merritt, Gable Mountain, a whole bunch of really noteworthy peaks in Glacier Park with these guys. And I asked all of them, hey, what are the things that you need to know in mountaineering, climbing mountains, and all that stuff? And so they all sent me their feedback separately, and I'm going to pass it on to you, realizing that you may ignore everything I tell you because you're only 18, and when I was 18, I didn't do any of these things very well, but I'm doing them now, and they're helping me out a lot. So the number one thing, climbing mountains, rock climbing, and all that stuff, is your decision making, and how are you going to make decisions. So here's some principles that were forwarded to me from my buddies, and some that I agree with. One of my good friends said, summiting the mountain is optional, but you do have to get down. So when you're climbing a mountain, if it's getting too hard, you might want to turn around, because when you get there to the point where you turn around, you have to get down. And many mountaineers will tell stories of being stuck on a mountain or having to be rescued off the mountain, and it would have been a lot easier. They just turned around earlier when things started getting difficult. And along that decision making, still on decision making, who's in charge of the trip? Somebody should be the leader. They should be respected, and they should have done the research on the mountain or the trail or the area and have the most knowledge about when turnaround time is, and the other people should do what they say. Alternatively, the least qualified person in the group is how the decisions have to be made. So if you're really awesome at climbing mountains and you've got a guy that's not very good at it with you, you can only climb at their level. So keep that in mind when selecting your partners. But use good judgment. Almost everybody that I've seen have a bad situation out there. And by the way, me and all my friends have all had a friend die doing this type of thing, or be stuck or have a horrible experience. Yet the activity itself is not dangerous. It's just the decision making. So one more principle on this decision making is, when you're on the top of the mountain, you are only halfway home. So use good judgment and have good decision making skills. That was the first principle that all the guys got back to me with. Another one, plan and prepare. So I mentioned, your leader should do that, but whoever's in charge, when I go out, I typically look at Google Earth, a map. I bring a smartphone that has GPS on it, and you need to download the maps before you go out. And then what kind of gear are you going to need out there? Is it rock climbing? Do you need a helmet? Do you need an ice axe? Will you be able to get water? And whatever you bring with you, you should have used it before. Don't bring anything out there that you've never used before. Try it out, because something like an ice axe that you're going to use to stop yourself from falling to your death on a snowy field, you would want to know how to use it before you need to use it in order to save your life. Same with rock climbing equipment. So plan and prepare. Number 1 was great decision making and judgment. Number 2, plan and prepare. Number 3 was brought up by a good friend of mine, and I think it's a great principle, but take care of your gear. And you just got a piece of gear for me as a gift. I hope you enjoy it. But most of the mountain climbing gear, mountaineering gear, if taken care of, will last your whole life, or a good 20 years. And so, you know, one of my friends said, don't step on the rope. There's a lot of reasons for that, but you're counting on that rope to save your life, so don't stand on it. And it could also move. But, you know, take care of the ice axe, take care of everything. Those were the big 3 that all the guys said something about. Another one, though, that's just a good one is, if something goes wrong out there, what's your rescue plan? So your rescue plan, at a minimum, somebody knows where you are, so that if you don't come back and you're by yourself or with a friend, but you guys can't communicate and you can't get back, well, some of the horror stories out there when nobody knows you're out there. So somebody needs to know where you are in case you don't come back, and approximately when you're going to be back. I learned with Jenna, your aunt, my wife. I was on a trip where I came back the next day, and anyway, I had told her what time I would be back, and I wished I had set a later time. But what I've done since is I have this thing called a spot device. And the spot device, I can send a signal and launch an emergency rescue to my GPS coordinates. And I can also send a signal to Jen that just says, I'm okay and here's where I am in case I'm late and I don't want to be rescued. So have a rescue plan. And then the final one that one of my buddies brought up, and this happens to be the guy that's more fit than all of us, is conditioning. So, you know, train just like ski racing, but train to get out there. You'll have a way better time if you train. Now, there's a million things I could have gone on about, and there's books written on it, but hey, if you go out, just remember some of the things in this video, you'll be doing awesome, because everything I just mentioned, all the guys that I talked to, we've all screwed them all up. And that's why we try hard to live by those principles now. So about your gift, I hope you enjoy the backpack I got you. The one I got you is a little bigger than the one I'm wearing right now. The one I'm wearing right now, I love it. It's a little bit better on lightweight stuff, so if I know for sure that I'm only going to be out for the day, I'll typically use this pack that I have on right now. But it doesn't have a lot of storage capacity, but it holds water, an ice axe. I could get a pair of skis on it if I have to, and a jacket and a few things. I did 2 overnights last year with it, but I couldn't bring a tent. It's just not big enough. And very minimal supplies, so if anything goes wrong and I'm using this pack that I'm wearing right now, then I could be in trouble by not having enough supplies. The one I sent you is the one that I just bought this year to replace the one I'm wearing. It's got all the same things, but just a little bigger, and it's also got the zero gravity feature. And the zero gravity feature basically takes the pack completely off your back and just attaches it at your waist and your shoulders, and it's so nice. So if you use it, I know you're gonna like the zero gravity. It just makes it, in fact, your dad, he and I one time went up to Brown Pass and we carried a lot of our wives' things with us for like 14 miles. And they hadn't invented zero gravity yet. And so it was just harder for us. But you've got the zero gravity. I hope you enjoy that feature. On the outside of the pack, you can get an ice axe, skis, a tent, or a sleeping bag. I recommend that you get everything you can inside the pack before using the outside of the pack, unless it's like something dangerous like an ice axe or something. But that pack you have, you could do an overnight. You can go climb a mountain and ski it. And heck, if you want to come up to Montana, I'll show you how to do all this stuff, which would be fantastic. Your dad mentioned that might be the best way to break in the pack. But whether you do or not, that pack should last you a long time. And if you use it what it's for, you're going to have some amazing experiences. If you're ever going to climb a peak, and you're not with me, but you're the guy who's planning it, feel free to just tell me what peak and send me a little info and how you're planning on climbing it, and I'd be happy to tell you what I would do if it was me. And I love doing that. I have a lot of friends that actually ask me to do that for them. So enjoy the graduation present, and hopefully we'll get to go do something together. And congratulations on the big achievement of becoming a man, and I look forward to seeing you graduate college.